Now, 16 months after the tragic death of firefighter Scott Deem in the Ingram Square fire, Fire Chief Charles Hood is talking change. A federal review of the incident is about to be released, and Eyewitness News reporter Sue Kalberg talked with the chief about the life-saving work that still needs to be done.
The Mayday calls on May 18th last year were heartbreaking. In the confusion of a literal firestorm, firefighter Scott Deem died, and Brad Phipps was critically burned when an arson fire consumed the Ingram Square shopping center.
We wanted to learn every possible thing that we could learn from this.
Fire Chief Charles Hood is providing background on the latest review of the tragedy, a federal study by the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, or NIOSH.
This is a learning document that we want everyone to see.
The report makes 19 recommendations, the most important of which just may be more training, much of it in a new center named for Scott Deem.
We can add heat, smoke, videotape, put our firefighters in challenging situations to where they're either lost, they're entrapped, they're running low on air.
The chief says the report was hard to read and accept, but life-saving.
We honor Scott's death with what we are doing. 80% of everything that we have identified as action items for our department, we have completed them.
At KENS5.com, we will post the report as soon as it's released. Sue Kalberg, KENS 5, Eyewitness News.
And this weekend, Scott Deem's family heads to Colorado Springs to see his name added to the National Memorial for Fallen Firefighters. KENS 5 will be there with full coverage on air and online starting Friday.
And as you may remember, fire investigators declared the Ingram Square fire an arson, and the man accused of setting that fatal fire remains in the Bexar County Jail tonight. This man, Eamon Johnson, faces 5 charges, including murder, after police say he set the fire due to financial difficulties. Investigators say there is surveillance video of him flicking a lighter to start that fire. His next court appearance will be later this month, September 28th.